this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill no one.
Wait a second.
No.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin vs. the World. I'm SeptumSin. This is Kotobuki Jake. And we're here to show you what they got.
Yeah.
Indeed. You know, we got a lot of stuff to cover, but alas, no Gundam.
Alas.
But here's some stuff that you might enjoy.
Melting the pavement, it's humid as I've ever seen. I know that you wanna play outside, but how about we just go for a ride? 'Cause it's hot out, babe. It's hot out, babe. It's hot out, babe. Please, come on, baby. Come on, baby. When I was a kid, I blistered in the sun. Down by the water, offered me no relief. Let's go back to your house, I got a special scoop for you. 'Cause it's hot out, babe. It's hot out, babe. It's hot out, babe. Please, come on, baby. Please, come on, baby. Please, come on, baby. Please, come on, baby. I can't remember a time. I can't remember a time. I can't remember a time of being this hot. You told me no. My question's why. I've always loved you, how will I get by? Knowing this is null and void. I heard the news, you're in love with this guy, you think he's the one. But looking back on us, never did I wander or stray. So Thelma, reconsider me. What would it take to make it happen again? I can beg, I can plead. To plant this seed of doubt. you're mean to me. I would do anything in and out of reason. Thelma, reconsider.
Lot of stuff this time. And by the way, I always keep forgetting to credit our musicians. The people who are providing most of the music, other than the chicken track at the back, which is Ray Stevens, is the Rebel Gaming Club's Dan O'Day, who did an album called Bop Star. So what you've been listening to is this album. We talked about an earlier one. It's a very fun album. I hope you've all enjoyed the music. I know Jake's been kind of listening to it as he's been previewing each of these.
Yeah.
So you've gotten to hear a lot of it. And we're not done yet with it. So,
Indeed.
with that being said, I'm going to take us off of the full screen so we can go over here to our board. And as you can see, we have our wonderful board here, and it has not changed. So, simple stuff. Priority, I am going to do one change to priority to accommodate something that Jake said last week. So, priority is stuff that you have to feel you have to have in your collection. My initial definition is basically you get it as soon as you can afford it, but I'm willing to say that yes, it's something that you can wish list, but you would be willing to pay that full price if you knew you had to get it, like if it was going to basically go out of print and be gone. Whereas a yes please is more of a you'll wish list it. You would be sad if it was gone, but you're willing to still let that expire and go out of print if you need to pay the lower price.
Right.
So curious, of course, is if you have a basic interest in it, and hey, this looks interesting. I might pay a few bucks here or there for it, depending on your feeling. That's curious there. Meh, you'd take it for free. Maybe $1, but that'd be about it. And then hell no. Well, that's a hell no. And as always, we take the average unless it's at the top or the bottom. To be the top or the bottom, we have to both agree. That way we are assured these are the tippy top and the bottomest bottoms, which we're probably not going to get as many there because we kind of handpicked these, unless Jake handpicked one to hate on. So I do know that there's probably at least one on my list that Jake is going to have that feeling with. So,
good times.
let me go ahead and I'm going to push this up here for you. And we're going to move on to you.
Me. Okay. So we are looking at this. Okay. So we're looking at a film called The 300-Year Weekend. It's getting a Kino Lorber release, apparently DVD only. And it's from 1971. It's kind of short. Based supposedly on true life events. And what I understand is it's basically a group therapy session for people who are dealing with drug issues primarily, although apparently other bad marriages and homosexuality are also involved. Main reason I noted this is that it co-stars William Devane, who I always find to be very interesting. And it just sounded like it'd be an interesting film to watch. Probably a difficult film to watch, but worth noting, I think.
Okay, looks interesting.
Yeah. And I would rank it a curious.
All right. Sorry there, I got distracted by somebody asking me something.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's a low curious for me. I'm willing to check it out, though.
I would think with your interest in therapy and mental things people have to deal with and whatever, you probably at least have that curiosity of, again, probably almost a train wreck curiosity, but...
So this one is an interesting one. I'm surprised that it's getting it on its own release.
Yeah.
A Night in Casablanca is getting a nice Blu-ray release. I have this on a bigger Marx Brothers set. It's one of their later films.
Right.
And it's not a bad film. I mean, it's not their best, but it's not their worst.
Right.
It's much better than... I always thought it was much better than Go West, The Big Store, The Circus, some of those, but...
Yeah.
Or even something Live Happy or Love Happy. I think it's Love Happy. But I really liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. I like most of the Marx Brothers stuff. And there was a time back in the day that I could say every Marx Brothers film was a priority. Now they're more available, so I would still consider that a yes, please. Like it needs to be done.
I agree. I mean, I have those collections as well, and so I would have no need for the standalone. But they are essential, and this is a middle-of-the-road Marx Brothers film. I agree. It's not their least impressive, but it's not at the lofty heights of like a Horse Feathers or a Duck Soup, but it's still a fun movie.
Okay, so
Yes.
boom, boom.
Yes, please. Next up, we have a film called Audrey, which is apparently a documentary about Audrey Hepburn. And that right there catches my interest. I mean, I like a good documentary, and she's probably a fascinating subject for one. I don't know necessarily if this will be a great documentary or a middling one, but it's certainly worth a look. So I'd give it a high curious.
All right.
Oh.
So let's see here. Yeah, I could go with curious as well. Let's see here. So this is one I kind of did to fill out. I had a couple of these that I kind of threw on here as a way to not have you have like twice the number I have on here. And this one is called Abracadabra, which is an interesting one that is in release by Cauldron. It is a pretty decent sounding one about a bunch of murders committed by a killer that utilizes magic tricks as his theme. I thought that was interesting. It definitely has me curious, to be sure.
This was a relatively recent one, right?
Yeah.
And from what I saw of it, it looks like it's supposed to be an homage, if not a straight up kind of knockoff of the whole giallo genre, which we all know how much I love that. I honestly feel like a modern giallo is almost exactly the last film I would be interested in. I agree the premise sounds good though. So I would say without more information, I could give it a very, 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 very tentative meh.
Okay. Well then. It goes down to meh.
All right.
All right.
So next up is one that I had not even heard of prior to this list, and now I want to see it. It's a show coming out. Oh, the season 2 is coming out. Season 1 is out, and that's what's coming out this week. And it's called Avenue 5, and it's from Armando Iannucci, the showrunner behind Veep, which is another show I really need to see. But he's also the writer-director, I believe, director of In the Loop, which was a great film, and The Death of Stalin, which was a really good film. And this show stars Hugh Laurie and Josh Gad, but mainly Hugh Laurie. I mean, like, that combination and this crazy, hilarious image of Hugh Laurie on IMDb. I must see this. I'm going to actually go a pretty solid yes, please on this one, even though, honestly, I will be wanting the complete series. I don't think I'll want to get him individually. Oh, it's an HBO series, too. I will probably wait for a complete series, but yes, please.
Well, I guess this is my turn to drag it down a little bit. I would say I'm more on the curious end. I do see a lot of those things that put my interest in, but it will take a lot to get me into a hour episode series. So,
Right.
more on a curious note. I'd have to see a few episodes before I'd bump it up. All right. Let's see here. All right, our first anime.
Ooh.
So this is one that has had a release already, but Funimation is releasing the full season instead of it in 2 parts.
Oh, right. They were doing 2-parters.
So this is Case Closed Season 2, which is 23 episodes.
That's not case closed.
Sorry, not Case Closed, Ace Attorney. But there's a similar bent to this.
Slightly different.
But just the murderers, it's after the murderers are caught and they have to go to
Right.
court. But this is, I played a little bit of the games and they are hilarious.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to see the anime. It's one that's been on my list. I just don't want to pay a lot for it. So it's probably one of those that's been wish listed because it's unique, it's funny, and it is highly entertaining. I've even seen a couple episodes, and they do a decent job adapting the games.
I had actually read the opposite, that they did a very poor job of capturing the spirit of the game. But I have not played the games, but I have played the Marvel v. Capcom games that have him as a character. And I've been very curious about this show. So even though I've heard mixed things, I still give it a curious.
All right. So, next
up, we have one I'm sure you want to see called Bodies, Rest, and Motion But it stars Phoebe Cates, Bridget Fonda, Eric Stoltz, and Tim Roth. That's a pretty fun cast. Early 90s film. Looks and sounds pretty artsy. But with that cast, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a curious.
All right. I'm not sure. It's a low curious at best. Wherever you are. There you are. There are a lot of ones that we were skipping over here.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. Blood Sisters, one I know that you're going to be like majorly for. It's another one of those that I looked at and said I'm more on a vaguely curious, and I guess I'll put it in for filler. And it just looks like your typical like sorority house massacre type thing. And I have heard a lot of it in the horror circles, so it's something that I probably should see. But it's nothing I'm willing to pay $18 for. So it's more on a curious end for me.
I think I could pretty reliably say with that one, hell no.
All right, so that takes it to a meh. Yay!
All right. Well, talking about filler, we got a movie here called Chick Fight, which immediately reminds me of a probably much, much better film from 2000 called Girl Fight, which had Michelle Rodriguez in it, and that was a great film. This one, I like the cast. Malin Ackerman, Bella Thorne, and Alec Baldwin. That's a fun cast. But the reviews were not terribly kind. I put it in here mainly because I will give it a low curious.
Well, looking at it, this has very little that makes me interested whatsoever. Alec Baldwin can be entertaining. Some of them can be, but I don't know. There's something about it just has no interest to me whatsoever. So that's a meh for me. Finally, one I've dragged down to meh.
All right.
I feel like I've accomplished something.
Well, good.
All right, now here's one I have a little bit more interest in, which is The Call, because it's from the person who created Final Destination. And, it looks interesting. Leah Shea and Tobin Bell star in this terrifying tale of death from the fall of 1987. A group of small-town friends must survive a night at the home of a sinister couple after a tragic accident. There's something about that kind of like this is suspenseful. It looks scary, it looks creepy. I think it'll be kind of cool. Here's a glowing review. Wasted $7 on renting this movie. It's absolutely horrible. Acting, plot, everything. I was pretty much laughing the whole time.
Good times.
A lot of just horribles. Well, that still leaves it curious for me. Where are you at?
Meh.
We got a lot of mess going on this time. Alright, so... Boom. Anime.
Ooh, that's me.
Yes.
So we have a series coming out from Sentai Filmworks called Chidori RSC, getting a Blu-ray release. It's a 12-episode series about basically Girls with Guns series. Yeah, there's so many of those out there, but they're popular. Probably not in the same vein tonally as Gunslinger Girl, though. It looks fun. It looks cute. It's one of those ones I'll probably eventually get if the price goes down far enough, so I'll give it a curious.
Alright. I'm curious just because I'm not quite sure. So I go with curious. Let's see here. I'm looking here, there, and there. All right, now here's one that's definitely going to be hell no from both of us, obviously.
Yeah. How little do you know?
Now this is one of the better Studio Ghibli films, Castle in the Sky, and they've been trying to put out. G-Kids have been putting them all out on Steelbook. There's a part of me that really wishes I could get them all on Steelbook. I just don't. And I've already got them on Blu-ray. I just have a hard time justifying it. Right. And this is one of my favorites of the series. It's not my most favorite, but it definitely is in that top tier. I really like it. I really didn't like the Japanese. I was one of the few that I actually hated the Japanese version of it because it grated on my ears so much it gave me a headache. But I really like the English dub of it, and it is it's a mystical film about this this kid. He's found this floating castle in the sky. You've got pirates, you've got adventure, you've got somebody mad with power. I mean, you can't, if you know how it is with power. If you have no power, it's no fun. We can't go mad without it. But it is a genuinely good film. It is probably one of the top tier Ghiblis. To me, if I didn't have this film, I would buy it this way because I like steelbooks. So to me, it would be a priority.
That one, unquestionably, it's one of my favorite Ghibli movies. And yeah, the idea of doing a steelbook is cool. I'm not crazy about their design work for these new line of steelbooks. They're relatively unimpressive to me. This one's an odd shade of mauve something or other, but still, it's a hell of a good movie. It's steelbook. I would give that a priority.
All right, so hey, we got a priority! Woo!
Woo!
All right.
So the next one I kind of goofed. I thought this was an anime, but it's actually a live-action movie.
I was curious why you wanted to do this one.
Well, now that I know it's a live-action movie, I'm having second thoughts. But we'll go ahead and talk about it anyway. Go Nagai has done some very intriguing characters over the years, and one that's gotten several various attempts at doing it is Devilman. And this one has a live action movie coming out. I want to say I'm curious, but this franchise is one that
I
have to approach with caution.
That's one of those franchises that I'm just like, really? This one might have you going, I'm not sure I can watch this.
I'm going to have to go with a meh now that I realize what I actually picked here. But yeah,
I really need to see Devilman Crybaby.
Yeah.
And this one's more of a curious on my part, but you kind of drag it back down to meh. Yeah. Yeah, it's more of a curious for me because it is it's a good series. It's a classic one, but it's very dark and quite bloody at parts. And if Devilman Crybaby ever comes out, because of who did Devilman Crybaby,
right,
I will have to get it.
I will have to see it at least. I have heard the stories.
All right, my turn. One that you had wanted to cover, and I grabbed it from you.
I figured you would.
But this is we have covered the Hammer films constantly on here, and I ran out of money, so I had to give up on that Hammer set. Kim was asking me what I wanted from my for Christmas. I should have thrown forward that. But because I believe Curse of Frankenstein is on that set.
Really?
You've got Christopher Lee, and again, Christopher Lee, Hammer kind of made him. I really, really need to see more Hammer horror films, and Curse of Frankenstein was really good. I really like them. They've got a little bit more. They're a little bit more modern than the classic Universal monsters, but that's not saying much. But it's one of those that is, I would say, unfortunately, because I've had to surrender, I can't say it's a priority anymore, but I can say it's a yes, please.
Okay. I'm gonna have to do. Wait, which one are we doing? Oh, the Frankenstein. You did. Oh, right. Never mind. I'm sorry. I'm distracted by all kind of things going on at once. That one, I'm gonna say it's a yes, please. I feel like that's one that I need to see, and it's probably worth having.
All right. Where are you? Boom.
There you go. Okay, next up, we've got Diary of a Mad Housewife, which has Frank Langella, Carrie Snodgrass. From what I remember, I believe an Oscar-nominated role from Carrie Snodgrass. I know the film had an Oscar nod. I think that was it. And I know relatively little about this. It's, I think, from the early 70s. But the fact that it's an Oscar nominee automatically elevates it to a yes, please for me. And I'm certainly curious about it, just in general.
I'm more on a curious level for that, but one never knows. It might be good. All right. You know, it's interesting. I've been distracted because I keep being texted by people telling me people are missing, people are having babies. It's kind of a weird thing.
It's a busy day, yeah.
A lot of stuff going on in the texts. All right, so this is a twofer here for me, and because there's no point in covering these one at a time. But Dragon Ball Z is continuing their Steelbook releases with Season 4 and 5, which I believe covers the Cell Saga. Okay. And Cell is essentially, basically, it's the Android and Cell sagas. You've got Vegeta and Bulma's son comes back from the future and tells them about these androids that were created, and the remnants from, you remember the Red Ribbon Army, right? Jacob,
yeah.
you watched the original series.
Right.
Basically, they're created by the same people that created those androids. And Cell is the ultimate android that was created by those people. And Cell's kind of the one that's going to bring about the revenge. And that's what he is in this. And it theoretically tries to pass the torch on to Gohan, but that doesn't last long. So, if I didn't have the series, I'm still not sure I would buy it in more expensive steelbook form. But I do consider it a series that most people should have. So I would say that they're yes pleases for me.
Oh, very good. I have put off tackling this behemoth, partly because it's a behemoth. I do feel like it is an essential to the collection. And the steelbooks don't look too bad. I'd kind of like to do it that way if I could.
Oh, they look nice on the shelf. So
yeah. I'll go yes, please, with this. Kind of on the border between that and curious, but yeah.
There's enough iterations of Dragon Ball Z that, you know, those could go out of print, but I could probably still find it pretty cheap elsewise.
Right. So next up, we have something I'm pretty sure we presented the DVD release of this a couple months ago. Now it's apparently just now getting a Blu-ray release called Fisherman's Friends. We talked about it at length then. I don't think we need to go into it now. I think I rated it curious.
I can't even remember what I rated it. Probably on the same level. I don't know why that cover makes me think of Fighting Around the World.
Fighting around the world. Yeah, exactly.
It's actually kind of funny because I've got one that is that's the opposite. We covered it earlier as a Blu-ray release, and now it's getting a DVD release. But that'll be later. But for now, we're going to cover one that's a little bit more essential than that one, and that's from Up on Poppy Hill. Another Ghibli release, not a steelbook. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure, because I think G-Kids already released this, because I've looked on Right Stuff, and the previous release, the only difference is this one doesn't seem to have a slipcover. So
maybe it's just another pressing.
This is kind of like an aftermath from World War II. In the 60s, and just kind of that economic build-up. It's a cool series. It's a cool movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought it had a lot of heart to it. It was very fun to watch. It's directed by Goro Miyazaki, which is, I believe, the son of the great Miyazaki. And this one is probably one of his better films. I liked it much better than Tales of Earthsea. And for that, I have to give it a yes, please, for me. It's one that I would get, but I could hold off on out of the Ghibli stuff.
I would give it... I'm not sure I would necessarily call this release a priority, because, as we said, we're not really entirely sure what's so special about this release. But I would say overall, I would actually rank this as a priority pickup.
Okay.
I think I can't remember if I pre-ordered it, but I know I didn't play around too much on getting it.
Yeah, that's one that I more wish listed. I felt like I could take a lot more time on that one. All right, so boom.
What do we got? Booming? Gun crazy. Got a movie from the early 80s. I can't remember the exact date, but the early 80s, starring Drew Barrymore during her teen years. Apparently, she plays kind of a hot mess of a troublemaker who finds herself hooked up with this guy who is, I think, an ex-felon. Yeah, he's an ex-felon out on parole. And basically, it's sort of supposedly a Bonnie and Clyde-ish kind of thing. I don't really know what I would make of this one, but I feel like it would be an interesting one to see. I haven't seen all that much of Barrymore's work from that time period, so it'd be kind of interesting. And this release has a decent amount of special features, so it might be worth grabbing. I'll definitely give that a high curious.
All right. Boom, boom. Where are we? Darn it.
Down on the second row.
So why has he got to be on the second row? I'm at a low curious, but yeah, I can deal.
Okay.
All right, so. All right, remember what I was telling you about that one?
Yep.
So this is the Ren and Stimpy documentary, and I talked about it when it was on Blu-ray, and now it is a Kino Lorber whatever DVD release, which is even cheaper. I have been very curious about it because it's one even more than that. Really, I would say it would be a yes please for me because I do want to get it. I just don't have the money right now. But it's a show I grew up with, and it's one of those things. It's sort of like the Orange Years. It was just one of those that's on my radar, So definitely be a yes, please for me.
Well, as we probably mentioned when we did this one before, this was a show that I knew more by reputation than anything because I only could see it at friends' houses, and even then, I was not exactly blown away. I will say I'm curious, but probably a low curious.
Alright, let's see here. Boop.
Okay. Next up, we have another. Oh, we got the. Oh, right. Mine were out of order. So we have a movie called Holiday Affair, which I put it on the list in part because it's got Janet Leigh and Wendell Corey and some other notable people, but primarily because it also stars Robert Mitchum. And the idea of Robert Mitchum in a romantic comedy just seems weird to me. So I thought that would be amusing. And it's a Christmas-themed romantic comedy. So I'm curious about this. I would like to see it. It's a Warner Archive release. I keep hoping that they'll get certain titles that they haven't yet, but certainly happy to encourage what they are putting out.
I was going to say, they've been busy this week.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to give this a high curious.
Yeah, I was going to say, I go with low curious, but we'll meet in the middle.
Yeah.
It's still curious, right?
Right.
Yeah, they've been busy this week, and speaking of, something people aren't used to seeing me do these ones, but it was we tried to do something a little bit different so that I didn't, that I could try and have a little bit more to talk about. So I just shoved everything that I thought that I would be willing to discuss on a list, and then said, okay, let's see how many he comes up with that he wants to talk about, and then I will take, the lower ranking ones on the list to pad it out. So, but this is an Oscar winner.
Right.
Which is Judy Garland, The Harvey Girls.
Original song, right?
I think so. Let's say, how? As it said here on it, Best Song Academy Award.
Okay.
I'm very curious about these. I'm glad that it's gotten released because I don't think it had a good release prior that I know of. I think VHS. Which, this is good. I'm glad to see it. I really want all of these. It is a yes, please, simply for the fact that it is an Oscar winner, and it is on my wish list.
I will concur with that.
Okay. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Oh, that's not you.
What's up?
That would be me, wasn't it? Or was it? Yeah, that would be me.
Yes.
Well, that's why I got it mixed up. Well, I'll go ahead and cover this and just let you do the two at the end. So, Hello World, Confronting Bias in Software. Now, this is an interesting one, documentary-wise, and it covers a lot of areas that are kind of leery in this day and age. But a lot of it's also the kind of male-dominated software industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I find some of these documentaries quite entertaining and quite informative. And I do try to grab one or two from this list because they're worth having. Now, for $40, it's not quite worth having on my radar. But maybe this
it's a little much.
$14.99 DVD version might be worthwhile.
Maybe.
For documentaries, if they are informational documentaries like this, DVD is okay.
Typically, yeah.
I mean, if it was like a nature documentary, that's one thing. But if you're talking about something where people are going to be showing you spreadsheets for the whole thing, there's only so much you need.
You don't want your ultra high def for that?
Need to read every word on those darn spreadsheets. Every single word. But it's a curious for me.
Mm-hmm. Curious. Low curious.
There we go. We meet in the middle again.
All right.
There we go.
So,
I knew we could come back to
there
that.
we go. Next up, we have another Kino Lorber release from 1964, a movie by Frank Perry. And if I'm not mistaken, I feel like they did 2 or 3 Frank Perry movies this week. And this one is called Ladybug, with notably it's got Estelle Parsons and William Daniels in it. And apparently it's kind of about kids' lives during the Cuban Missile Crisis, if I'm understanding correctly. which could be quite interesting. Plus, is apparently a very rare film that did not have a good release prior to this, at least not on disc. And it's got a few bonus features, so that's definitely good on Kino for that. This is one that's definitely on my radar now. And I feel like if I see a really good price on a Kino sale in the future, I'll probably try and get it. I'm not going to rush to get it, but it's definitely a high curious.
Okay. So let's see here. It's a low curious on my end.
Okay. We got a few that are doing that this time around.
Yep, like I said, we're meeting in the middle. This is one that would have been on my list for a long time if I hadn't already gotten it. Because it was so darn cheap on one of the Right Stuff sales. I was able to get the trilogy and the fourth film really quickly because I thought, oh, for sure they're going to come up for Martial Arts Mayhem.
Yeah, you would have thought, wouldn't you?
They were definitely on the board. They were definitely in the voting.
Yeah.
Just didn't quite make the cut. But the Ip Man quadrilogy is out with all 4 films.
That is a nice looking set.
And a really nice set with a thick looking box there. Right. Gotta love that.
That's a Welgo release?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It's and they've got a very good reputation. Mm-hmm. I am curious about this series big time. I really want to check them out. Mm-hmm. There are a few others in the series as well. I mean, even right here. Let's talk about Ip Man Final Fight, and there's a couple other things. But this is the main story.
Right.
So, to me, the series is a yes, please for me, because it's always going to be on the wish list. But I admit I wouldn't have probably gotten it if I hadn't gotten it on sale.
I would definitely give this a yes, please. Partly because I already did plan to get the series. That is a cool looking set. I'm really hoping I can get a good price eventually.
Now there's a Blu-ray version as well.
Yeah.
And it is the same price. Oh, it's got the Blu-ray with it. So yeah, you could get this and still play it. So it's cool. And if you ever, when you ever do upgrade, you'll have it.
Right.
So let's see. Did I? No, I didn't. Yeah.
Okay. What we got next? We've got talk about your disparity in pricing. They had 2 separate listings for this: $99 for the Blu-ray and $17 for the DVD.
I wonder which one you would get.
That to me, that's too crazy a disparity there. The Last Sermon is apparently a documentary directed, put together by 2 people who survived a mass shooting in a club in, was it Beirut, I believe it was? And they apparently traveled through Europe just looking for information on kind of how people, as I understand it, it's about how people see Islam and all that kind of thing. Mike's place, Tel Aviv. Sorry, that's where it was, Tel Aviv. But they go from Jerusalem on through various places all through Europe, just talking to different people, refugee camps and mosques, all kind of things. Sounds like a really interesting idea. Obviously, without seeing it, I can't comment on whether it's a really good documentary, but it definitely sounds interesting. Sounds like one worth looking at. So I'm going to say I'm a high curious on that.
Yeah, me, I'm more on the, let's see here. Where are we? There. I'm close. I'm more on the meh end, tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I even tuned it out. And here's one that I know you're going to be like pushing as a high rate for you.
Oh yeah, you know it.
But this is Maniac. It's a pretty highly rated slasher in the community. You probably heard Dave talk about it off and on. And definitely Dustin. And Blue Underground is releasing this. There is a 4K, I believe, available. That has been released already. Yep, there it is. Special edition. For that came out a while back. But for those that want it just in the regular Blu-ray with the 2-disc special edition, you can now get that. I've been curious about it, but I'm not really on the higher end for it. I'm not quite ready to go, I need this, but it's one that's... Actually, because I know where you're going to probably rate it, and I'm probably in that vein of I am wish listing it, I guess I'll put it on low yes please. Very low yes please.
You know where it's going in with me. Hell no.
And so
I have heard a lot about this one, and it does not make me want to see it.
So round it down to a meh.
Right.
And go ahead and move on.
Okay. Next up, we have a movie called Mutiny, which is from 1952, I believe, and apparently releasing through a company called VCI. From what I'm seeing of this, it's apparently a film that has not really had a proper release here, from what I can tell. But when you go on Amazon, you'll find a whole bunch of like all region or European releases or whatever. But it's an early Angela Lansbury role, which is kind of cool. And Patrick Knowles is in there and some other folks. And, you know, looks like your old-time nautical tale. It could be a lot of fun. Not very long. I'm going to give that one a pretty high curious.
I'm probably going to say meh on it.
Okay.
Wherever you are, you're hiding. All right, so another Oscar winner, Mr. Roberts, with Henry Fonda, James Cagney, William Powell, and Jack Lemmon. Amazing cast.
That's a good cast. And didn't Lemmon win the Oscar for that one?
Yes, he did. So, yep, that's where he won his first Academy Award. And it was based on a Tony-winning Broadway show. So,
nice.
Lots of fun stuff here. Very high pedigree. Very interesting looking film. Not one I'm going to rush out to get, but kind of cool to have it on Blu-ray. Looks like there was a DVD release a long time ago. So I'm kind of glad to see them getting a nice update with the updated visuals. Go Warner Archive. Great thing. That is a yes please for me.
I'm going to go yes please as well, yes.
All right.
Next up, Nelson Allgren Live. So Nelson Allgren Live features Willem Dafoe performing Nelson Allgren, as I understand it. And that's pretty much it, from what I understand. It's a bunch of the works of Nelson Allgren dramatized with Dafoe pretty much front and center of the performances. I'm going to have to give this one a moderate curious. I'm not going to rush out to get it, but it's definitely on the radar.
Well, let's see. It's more of a meh for me. What'd you rate it?
Curious.
Something about it just doesn't catch my attention whatsoever.
I had a feeling.
Yeah. All right. So another one I know you're going to be rating highly.
Let's have a look.
This looks like it would be in.
Yeah.
This looks like it would be in Moe's wheelhouse. Orgy of the Living Dead. This is another one of those filler ones I kind of threw on here. It was one that had my vague curiosity. As I was like, this might be interesting. I swear, maybe he did cover Origin of the Living Dead. I'll have to ask him about that. I'll get back with you if he answers. I don't have much on it other than it is supposedly a kind of a horror classic. I'm more of a mid to low curious on it.
I really don't know this one. It doesn't. I won't say that it particularly appeals to me. Without more information, I don't know if it should be a meh or a hell no, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and go with a meh.
All right. Well, hey, it's not the low end. Well, that still drags it to a meh, but where are you? There you are.
There you go.
Run from me.
Next up, we have a film coming out, a series coming out called Shrine of the Morning Mist, which, if I'm not much mistaken, is from like the early aughts, like 02 or 03, something like that. Yeah, 02 according to Right Stuff. 26 episode series, not too bad. I know of this by name. I can't recall. I've never seen it. I'm trying to remember in what context I knew of it. But regardless, Media Blasters is putting it out this week. Who knows how long they sat on the license before they got around to releasing it. I don't know. But anytime I see an older series like this coming out, I kind of like to try and support it a little bit because, 02, I think, is the year that Cheeky Angel came out, so maybe... It's this one I'm kind of curious about, and I'll give it a high curious, but that's about it.
I'm more on the curious end for this one. Alright. So, yep.
What's up?
Now we get to one that's there, and I guess finally for everybody else's consumption, we get Paranoia Agent. There's another one that has a plushy little dog, but it's been sold out most places now. God, what's the dog's name in this one? Gosh.
Moromi.
Moromi, yeah. There's a plushy Moromi figure. And, that would be cool to have. Because I've seen a couple people on...
Steelbook.
Yeah. Though I am glad I got my Steelbook version of it from Best Buy early, like way early. But all you other people who didn't want to order it from Best Buy can finally get it wide release. And this needs a wide release. And this needed a Blu-ray release.
Yeah.
And I am super psyched that it got it.
Have you watched it yet on Blu-ray?
I haven't, because when we had just talked about it. And then it released right after.
Yeah.
So, it was the last time I watched my really ultra-rare DVD copy. And I've been very interested in this. Now, to me, if this was not in my collection already, I would be jumping on this.
Oh, yeah.
So there is no talk about it, at least not on my end.
This is a priority.
All right. See, we're in agreement.
Yeah. I'm actually tempted to upgrade, but I'll probably keep my Allgren release too. Although I don't have the cool art box you do, so.
Oh, I'm keeping my art box release just because, but
right.
This way, I don't have to kind of wear and tear on it either. So, because I dropped one of the cases last time I opened it, and but it was thankfully, I think it was before the floods. So,
Oh, good.
yeah, it was because we covered it sometime.
Right.
When did we cover it? God, August?
I think so. It was the first one we did.
Oh, then June. Oh yeah, we changed it because Higurashi was supposed. Yeah.
Yes.
So definitely I had my other but it was dropped on carpet back in that time. Now I've got like hard floor, so yeah, no. So yep. There you go.
Okay, next up we have one called Sidemen, Long Road to Glory, which is a documentary focusing on Pinetop Perkins, Willie Big Eye Smith, and Hubert Sumlin. And if I'm not much mistaken, yeah, they are all part of the Muddy Waters group. Muddy Waters, of course, is a very, very gifted bluesman and had some really great people working with him. And I love some good music docs. I love good music generally. I feel like this is probably going to be a very worthwhile watch, if only for the music, but also just be kind of cool to take a look at the people who are not the big stars, but the ones that back them up. So this definitely looks like it would be something I'd be very, very interested in. I'd even go yes, please on that.
All right. I'm going to do a curious for that one. Wherever you are, there you are, you little Dickens. All right. So this one is one that I thought was very intriguing. It's called The Place of No Words, which is kind of an iteration to a little girl about the concepts of death, dying, and what lies beyond. And there's a kind of a fantasy turn to it. It looks very intriguing and quite surreal. And I have a love for that sort of thing, so I would be very willing to see this. I'm not going to put it as a yes, please, because I need to see it, but definitely on a high curious.
I'm curious as well.
Easy there.
Okay, next up we have what was supposed to be the big film of the summer. Well, this one and probably Wonder Woman 1984. And then the Rona hit us, and now it's getting a much quieter release in the fall. But Tenet is the new film from Christopher Nolan. And it's got pretty intriguing pedigree to it. Got Robert Pattinson in there, John David Washington, who, if I recall correctly, is Denzel's kid. Michael Caine, because he's in all Christopher Nolan films. Kenneth Branagh. So, I don't know a great deal about this. One of the hallmarks of most Nolan films is that they want to try and tease you and not really give away everything. I know Tenet is like a code word for something, and this guy's like an agent of some sort. I think time travel's involved. That's about all I really know, but it's a Chris Nolan film with a great cast. So I can easily say yes, please on that.
All right. So it's a Christopher Nolan, so it's under old times I would probably put it as a curious, but I have gotten all of his films, so it's probably going to be a yes, please. But definitely not a priority because I can definitely sit on that for a while. All right.
If you watch, it's going to be up for 15 Oscars.
Which would make it then well, it would still be a yes, please. I just wait until this time next year where it goes on sale at Best Buy for $10. Speaking of something I wish would go on sale for Best Buy for $10. Spirited Away, and an Oscar winner. So this is like the first Ghibli film to win an Oscar. Actually, is it the only one to win an Oscar? I think so.
I think so. It's sad.
Well, it is a beautiful presentation. I like the red there. I've been kind of debating how I feel about kind of the plain colors with just the single image on it that they've been using as the art-wise, but still, there's something about that one that just makes it special looking. Spirited Away is one that I've always been kind of iffy about. I like it, but I don't like it at the same time. Something about that very beginning that just disturbs me so much I just don't want to watch it. But I like the rest of the movie. And I know it's a very important movie. So I'd probably still put it as a priority. Though it'd be a low priority.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't have it, you need to get it. And I will admit, that's one of the few where I kind of like the look of the steelbook. So next up, we have an interesting one that I had not heard about prior to this, which is called Waiting for the Barbarians, and features Johnny Depp and Mark Rylance. And I do believe Mark Rylance is a very, very gifted actor who's still a bit underrated. Depp is currently an odd proposition. I don't know whether it's a good or a bad thing if he's in there, but overall, I'm still curious, and I'm willing to give this a curious.
I see here. Very low curious for me. Where are you? There you are. Alright. My last one.
Alright.
This Trimmers box set looks really cool.
It does.
But it's only the one movie.
That's sad.
And that's sad. I've got a cool steelbook with all of them except for the most recent one. If this was all of them, I would be like saying at least yes please. That's at the very least. But I've got it in a better well, not a better format, but just in a cooler thing with the rest. It's a great movie.
How's this one for bonus features, though?
Oh, I'm sure it's... Well, look at this.
Oh, wow. That's all nice.
I mean, you're going to have a ton of it.
Right.
You're going to have a ton of cool features. And for people who really love this film, I would consider this a must if this is one of your favorite films.
Right.
I love the film, but I don't love it. It's not my favorite film. Like, if they did this for Across the Universe, I would be getting it. But then again, Across the Universe didn't have 6 films. I'm trying to think of it, like, what is a film that I have a whole collection of in the main films in the collection that, you know, if they just released the first, like, film like that? I don't know.
Right. Who knows? Maybe they do plan to do more.
But, you know, I still need to see the Shrieker Island.
Right.
But otherwise, they kind of have gotten worse as time goes on. But to me, this would be a yes, please.
I will have to admit that I had mixed feelings going into our Movies Galore discussion on Tremors, which incidentally you should check out. It's good times. But I very much enjoyed the movie, rewatching it. And this is a cool looking set. It's got a phenomenal level of bonus features. I think it would be an upgrade for me since I just have that 5-movie attack pack, which had some bonus features, but nowhere near this level.
Yeah.
If I do end up getting my All Regions player, because I probably need it for this, it would be a higher priority. As it is,
It's hard to say whether they're. I wish that they would put the region for that release, but I can't.
it's hard to say if I should do this one as a yes, please, or as a. I'll go with that. I will go with yes, please.
Oh wait, it's
I
a
don't
4K. Well, it wouldn't matter if it's a 4K because it's you don't have a 4K player. But if you had a 4K player, it wouldn't matter because 4K is region free. It has no regions. I just wish I could find out the region. I think this is the American version of the release.
If it's a proper American release, then that's cool.
Because they definitely have an American release group there. The problem is I'm having a hard time finding a place that's actually like, here it is, and this is the region. There it is on eBay. Maybe eBay has the actual region on it.
Have you tried looking on Arrow's site itself?
Oh, let's see here.
Because they do have the American one separated on that site.
Let's see. Arrow Films. Let's see. There's Arrow Video. Because usually when it's the, like this, yeah, that must be the American release. Because if you're having a European release, you usually have this little thing in the corner regardless.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So I'm pretty sure it's the American release. So with that being said, we'll move on. To you.
Oh, you're moving on to me. Okay. So we've got, I believe, two left then. We have another Warner Archives release, Young Man with a Horn. Stars Kirk Douglas, Lauren Bacall, and Doris Day. Pretty fun cast there. Michael Curtis directing. And apparently music by Hoagie Carmichael, if I'm reading that correctly. That's probably all you really need to know on this one. I'll give it a pretty strong curious, if only for the cast alone.
A little curious on my end.
All right.
Last
And
one.
the last one, the best one, Amole's Petals, getting a release from Criterion. And I believe this is their last release of the season before they take a break for Christmas, I think. And this one is a film by Alejandro González Iñárritu, and it was his debut film. Came out in 2000. I think it came out about the same time as his buddy, was it Alfonso Cuarón, I think, that did Y Tu Mamá También? I think it was. But this was definitely the first one from Iñárritu. And the Criterion description, sending shockwaves through the Mexican film industry and the world, this blistering feature debut from Alejandro Giga Iñárritu brought the director's electrifying visual style and bravura multi-strand storytelling to the screen with a heart-stopping impact of a primal scream. I love the hyperbole they use in those descriptions.
I keep picturing the Home Alone scream. Ah!
In Mexico City, the lives of three strangers, a young man mixed up in the gritty underworld of dog fighting, a glamorous woman who seems to have it all, and a mysterious assassin who is desperate to reconnect with his estranged daughter, collide in a tragic twist of fate that forever alters their personal journeys. And each story features dogs. That's a very important part of it, somehow. But I love this movie. I am thrilled that Criterion's doing a release, and they've got a pretty decent, not an extraordinary amount of bonus features, but a pretty decent amount. I'm annoyed that it's come out right after the big sale.
Go wait till July.
I will have to wait till July, unfortunately. I've got several that I missed this go around are already on that list, but this one I will be getting next July, if not sooner. It's definitely this is a priority film.
I was gonna say, this is one of the ones I helped amend the definition for. So, because I'm sure that if it was going out of print tomorrow, you'd be like, okay, I gotta figure out how to get this.
Well, it also is one that when it first came out, I knew about it by name. It was a few years after it was available on physical release that I saw it. But I did get it very soon after seeing it.
Now, if Arrow was releasing this on one of their super special editions that goes out of print quickly, instead of Criterion,
I would say, damn you, Arrow, and then I would try my best to get it.
So, for me, I don't know much about this. Tell you the truth, it's an unknown quantity for me, and much like the horror genre, artsy films tend to have me wary, though not as wary as the splatter films for you. So
this is not a complete unknown for you, because I think you've seen most of Iñárritu's films, have you not?
I can't recall. What else did he do?
Well, he kind of remade this film with 21 Grams. And then he did Babel, Birdman, Beautiful, The Revenant. You know, a lot of fun, uplifting movies.
So it's definitely worth a curious for me.
Right.
Which, that rounds it to a yes, please.
All right.
So, we're done.
All right.
So we got some.
This time.
We've got like we got a good number of priorities here.
Yeah.
And a decent number of yes pleases.
The Mez and the yes pleases balanced each other nicely.
So, what it goes to show you now, see, if you didn't have both of us here, then you would be going blind on just one of our opinions. You see, now you got the combination.
Now you got to scroll down just a bit.
Yep, this is all that we left out this time.
That's all the ones that were left out.
Oh, wait, Tremors. I forgot to put you up here. That was a yes, please, wasn't it?
I believe so, yes.
So now yes, pleases are up for me.
Yes, please for the win, yes. Yeah, most of the others, we didn't really care too much about, but...
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple that looked like it may have been interesting, but
right.
It wasn't enough for me to want to talk about it.
Right.
So, with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this. Of course, click that like button, hit that subscribe. Of course, look at the channel update to find out how and what we're planning for the rest of the year. But otherwise, we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.